Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome here to the next to last race of the regular season for the 2025 edition of the WRA Oreo Cup Series. Getting ready for today's running of the Paula Casino 425 laps about to be run here at the Auto Club Speedway. With Alina Ritchie on the pole position, she is 66 points behind 30th in the standings. 34th in points, just trying to find a win. Even if she gets a win, it would not be enough for her to get a win and get herself in the top 30 in points. So she's basically out of the hunt for the championship. Donovan Dixon, who raced his way into today's race via the go-home session. Bradley Reim in row number 2. He's top 10 in the points, but he's yet to win a race this season, 4th to be exact. And Quentin Moore, who is safely locked in the playoffs, he dropped 3 spots down to 8th in the standings. You should look at the rest of the starting lineup. All the drivers that raced their way in from Go Home qualifying, which, by the way, I'll throw a plug here. The reason there was no commentary, it was because I was recording it at 4 o'clock in the morning. So just a FYI why there was no commentary. But you probably knew that already, so. Here's what the points look like coming into this race. Sean Art is still the points leader by 7 points over Brooke Paquette. Nathan Fryman is third in the standings. Brooke Paquette, by the way, the rookie points leader. Nathan Fryman third in the standings. Bradley Reim is fourth in the standings, 42 back. Shyla Askraov is 43 back in fifth. Then it's N Crenshaw, K Wascher, Quentin Moore, Kyler Anderson, and Daniel Whittle, the top 10. Kyler Anderson's been on a tear the last couple of weeks in the trying to get into the playoffs. Of course, he's won a couple of poles and gets 2 straight wins just like that the last few weeks. So he's been on a tear so far. Make sure nobody's having any issues. Here's where things get a little complicated. Annika Ritchie, who won last week's race, comes into this race 28th in the points. She is only 10 points above 30th in the standings cut line. Josh Harmon comes in this race in that critical 30th position in the points. Jackie Tang fell outside the top 30 in points after Hillside last week. As we'll see if he can get back in the top 30 in the points to get his win to count for a spot in the playoffs. Green flags in the air. We're racing at Auto Club. Bradley Reim going to take the lead here. Bradley, as I said, one of those drivers that if they get a win today, they would be in the playoffs regardless what happens next week at 8 Bowl. Daniel Whittle in second. Daniel Whittle comes into this race 10th in the points, so she is safe as far as making the playoffs is concerned. Bradley Reim will lead the first lap. Morgan Le Fay, who raced her way into today's race via the Go Home session, currently in second. For Morgan Le Fay, as I just hit the wrong button, sorry about that. This is her third start on the season. Donovan Dixon, this is his 7th start on the season. As LaFay is going to go for the race lead. Brittany White, who made the race, raced her way in via the Go Home session. This is going to be her, I believe this is her debut, if I'm not mistaken, because the only starts that 50 car had out of 2311 racing, as Reim will lead that lap, is from Betty Johnson herself. So this will be Brittany White's debut. Gene Evans in the number 59. We mentioned Donovan Dixon. This is his 7th. This is Gene Evans' 6th, as Courtney Lynn's going to go for the race lead. So we mentioned LaFay. We mentioned Brittany White. This is her debut. Regina Walsh. This is her 2nd start on the season. If you're hearing my roommate sound weird, I do apologize about that. Yeah, I'm waiting for somebody to come and say, Boyles, what the hell is going on with your roommate? And Danny Rant in the 62, back on track here. Danny Rant, this is his 2nd start on the season. And that's it. Courtney Lynn has not had a good last couple of weeks. She has dropped all the way down to, if I can find her in the points table, she dropped all the way down to 25th in the points. She is another one of those drivers. A win for her would get her in the playoffs. Same with Zachary Fitzwater. Morgan Le Fay, even if she goes to victory lane, it's not going to be enough for her to make it into the top 30 in the points to get that win count for a spot in the playoffs. Even though, to be fair in Morgan Le Fay's defense, it doesn't really matter to her. As Fitzwater nearly got in the side of the Liberty University Chevy Camaro. Zachary Fitzwater, another driver who needs. Let's see, Fitzy is 39 points below the 30th position in the points cut line. He's had a tough season in that 43 Family Dollar Toyota Camry SXE. I'm kind of not surprised to see this 43 below the bottom of the points table. There's a couple of rides in real life NASCAR that really did bad, and the 43 was one of them. But there's a couple of rides that did well in the real life NASCAR season last season that's at the bottom of the points table that kind of surprises me. And 2 of those entries are out of JGR, as well as Evan Marici right there in the 12. Because I kind of expected the 12 car to be up there in the top 16. I didn't expect them to be near the bottom of the points table. Comes in this race 31st in points. He's actually tied with Josh Harmon for that critical 30th position in the points cut line. Now, let's mention a couple of things here as Morgan Le Fay leads. And like I said, we've already talked about if Morgan Le Fay wins, it's not going to change the playoff factor. But if Josh Harmon and Annika Ritchie fall outside the top 30 in the points, oh boy, next week's race at 8 Bowl could get really interesting. And there's Jackie Tang right there in the 19 who fell outside the top 30 in the points. He is 32nd in points. He's only 20 points back of 30th in the standings cut line, which, by the way, is Josh Harmon. Forgot to do the ticker there. By the way, nobody had a mechanical problem coming to the green, so all 42 cars did take the start, so that's good. So Jackie Tang only 20 points below the 30th in the standings cut line. And where is Josh Harmon, you ask? He's back at 28. That's not where he needs to be. Chris Washer, who's already in the playoffs, back here at the rear of the field. There's Brittany White. Cody Smart, back here at the rear of the field. Cody is 18th in the points. That was close with Ian Dutta and Jared Johnson. There's Kyler Anderson, 2-time winner this season. But back to Cody Smart, unlike in 2022, where Cody Smart did not make the playoffs despite getting a win and he wasn't in the top 30 in the points, this time around his fortunes have turned around. So he'll be safely into the playoffs regardless of the last two races. And there's the points leader, Sean Ard. And Sean Art is a total of 35. He is like 42 points above the playoff cut line. He's not having a good run here. There's Matty Crenshaw in the second position. Just past the halfway point of today's race here at Auto Club. If you're Morgan Le Fay, you're just out here just trying to get wins and experience and all that, yada, yada, yada. Even though you're not going to make the playoffs, and that's what the go-or-go homers are going to do. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to just go out here and just try to get so many wins as they can to finish off a good season part-time style. Tomorrow I'll know what the plan is, so you guys know tomorrow, okay? I'll be at work anyway. Matty Crenshaw, on the other hand. I'll call you on my break, though, Andrew. Maddie is 20th in points. She would be another one of those drivers. A win for her would get her in the playoffs. Oh, yeah. Okay. Because I just take a 30-minute lunch anyway. Donovan Dixon, of course, he's just out here just trying to have experience. Courtney Lynn, who needs a good run. There's Marinelli Dillon in 71. Former winner this season. Marinelli Dillon comes into this race 23rd in the points. She is a total of 33 points ahead of 30th in the standings. So a good run for Marinelli Dillon would actually lock her a spot into the playoffs, regardless what happens next week at 8 Bowl. Matty Crenshaw in the lead. We talked about Skylar Taylor, who's in the playoffs. Well, Matty Crenshaw has yet to find victory lane this season. And, of course, she's been a part of now Ricky Cervantes' team after the controversy involving Zachary Taylor. And Matty Crenshaw said she's never going to retire. She's going to keep racing because her sister Annie Crenshaw, who is also going to be in a must-win situation next week at 8 Bowl, wants her to keep racing. So I could see why the Crenshaw sisters want to stay racing. And there you go. So Quentin Moore currently in the playoffs right now. Doesn't matter what happens to him this race and next week at 8 Bowl. Quentin Moore will be one of the 16 drivers in this season's Oreo Cup Series chase for the championship. Morgan Le Fay and Matty Crenshaw just trading the lead. The more those two continue to do that, the more that's going to allow the Margaritaville Ford Mustang dark horse of Quentin Moore to catch up. In what may or may not, keyword may or may not, be the last NR race at this Airbnb that I'm currently in. But never say never. And if you hear my roommate say it may don't trust me on that. You just wait until I post a statement on that. Because the only person that's going to give the people information will be me giving it to you guys. So just giving you guys that heads up right here, right now. Fortunately, as I'm recording this race, I did get my TV, so now I'm gonna have to get used to getting back to having my TV as a streaming deal, but that's okay. 2311 Racing trying to go to victory lane for the second time this season. Of course, Skylar Taylor went to victory lane earlier on this season. Maddie Crenshaw, on the other hand, has not been to victory lane this season. And the scenario I would say is that, I mean, look, Morgan Le Fay, I mean, I don't think she's not going to make the playoffs. I mean, she's just out here just trying to get some experience and all that. Maddie Crenshaw and Courtney Lynn, who's in the fourth position, however, they're trying to make the playoffs, and Courtney Lynn's been on a downward spiral these last couple of weeks. Would like to get a win to get herself locked into this season's chase for the championship. Same with a Shyla Askraov, because a lot of drivers that are inside the top 30 in points that have no wins, they're in a must-win situation entering next week's race, and Courtney Lynn's going to drive it underneath Morgan Le Fay to take the lead. Those drivers that have no wins are in desperation as they enter turn number 3. Oh, but Courtney ran a little bit high. Quinton Moore, if he wins today, that would be his second win. He would already get more bonus points for the reformatted playoff standings after next week's regular season finale. For Morgan Le Fay, it wouldn't matter if she gets a win or not. It's not going to matter as far as the playoff grid is concerned. Courtney Lynn, it does. We're going to have 2 laps of racing to go here. Sean Art may also lose the points lead. Let's see, where's the gal that came in for a second in points? Brooke Paquette, 26. And remember, she's one of those drivers on the bubble as far as the playoff cut line is concerned. Pending if the 31 falls outside the top 30 in the points. She's running in 13th. That would be Annika Ritchie. As we're coming to the white flag, Morgan Le Fay, it doesn't matter what happens to her if she wins this race. It's not going to change the playoff factor. Courtney Lynn, however, this could get her in the playoffs if she can get around the O2 machine. White flag is in the air. 1 more lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Next week, it's going to be called the Mario Sushi Rolls 200. Yes, I came up with a weird name, but we're just going to leave it at that. At 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Does Courtney Lynn have anything left for the O2? Here comes Fitzy. And Courtney is looking the inside. Can she get the run? No, she cannot. Morgan Le Fay raced her way into today's race. She's going to win at Auto Club. Unfortunately for Morgan Le Fay, it doesn't matter if she's a go or go homer because she will not make the playoffs. But a win is a win. That's the only thing good for that 0-2 team. What a finish here at Auto Club. In what may or may not be the last ever race at Auto Club on this channel. We will have to wait and see about that. And I'm trying to remember how many drivers have gone to victory lane as a go or go homer. Let's see, that is the 1, 2, 3, 4. That is our 5th go or go homer who's gone to victory lane. Morgan Le Fay became our 5th driver to go to victory lane as a go or go homer. Courtney Lynn will have to settle for second. She is going to be in a must-win situation. Ditto for Zachary Fitzwater, who comes home in third, 33rd in the points. I think he would still be eligible. We'll have to wait and see. Bradley Ring comes home in fourth. He's more than likely. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to depend what happens to the 77, whether or not Josh Harmon stays in the top 30 in points. So Bradley Ream's questionable. Matty Crenshaw will get fifth. Donovan Dixon, great run for a go homer in sixth. Evan Ritchie, seventh. Quinton Moore, eighth. Marinelli DeLeon, that ninth place has just locked her a spot into the playoffs, and Alina Ritchie is going to complete the top 10. Alina Ritchie is already out of the hunt as far as trying to make it in the top 30 in the points to have a win count for a spot into the playoffs. Annie Crenshaw, William Davis, Annika Ritchie, 13th. Remember, she was 10 points ahead of 30th in the standings cut line. That might have just gotten her away from that cut line. She'll need a good run next week to make it in the playoffs. Skylar Taylor, Gene Evans, top 15. Good run for Gene Evans, by the way, who I'm good friends with. Struggling day for Regina Walsh, who finished 21st. You look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. This is where it gets a little concerning. Jackie Tang, who's been struggling, I don't think 31st is going to do it. And, oh boy, is Jackie Tang going to be in a must-win situation next week? Oh boy, that would be terrible. Josh Harmon, 26. I don't know. I don't know if Josh Harmon stayed in the top 30 in the points. Brooke Packett's second in points, 27th. The guy she was trying to run down for the points lead, Sean Art, finished in 37th. Shyla Askraov is now in a must-win situation. Kyler Anderson, 33rd. Well, the good news for Kyler Anderson, he's locked in the playoffs, so he can ill afford a poor finish. But I don't know if Josh Harmon stayed in the top 30 in points. Boy, if he doesn't, next week's race is going to be critical going into 8 Bowl, which we're going to find that out shortly what this did to the points. But hope you guys enjoyed today's race from Auto Club. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become part of the World Racing Association crew. Today we showed your full finish results. Your point standings are down the description. Watch that battle between the cut line as far as 30th in the standings is concerned, because it's going to get interesting heading into next week at 8 Bowl. Until then, I'm D Ebrahimian signing off. You've been watching another broadcast of the Blue Hedgehog TV and the World Racing Association, the greatest racing since 2013. See you next week at 8 Bowl.